going on, everybody? I'm Chase Brogan. With me, as always, Marcus Buff Bagwell. What's going on, man?
Hey, brother. How's it going?
Everything's going great over here. How about you?
Real good, real good. Just, just had a kind of a busy week. Just had a really, really good show in I did a toy store up in Bloomington, Minnesota.
Oh, nice.
For a guy named Kevin Dennison. I can't remember the name of his company, but real good little like a little toy, card, trading card, action figure,
nice.
But comic book type store.
Gotcha.
And I think I told you the story. I got there and I'm like, what am I doing? This is gonna it was minus 10 degrees.
Ooh. On
a Saturday dreary morning, and I'm like, what was I thinking? You got to be kidding. And man, it was a line out the door, and I've never even been able to say that before, the line out the door. But I mean, literally, the line was out the door, and I was just so thankful. I had not been there in a long time, was definitely helped. But the guy was so professional, such a first class act that I'm just glad that it turned out well for him.
That's awesome. So are you signing a lot of action figures? Or do they sell wrestling action figures there?
They did.
Okay.
He didn't have any of mine, but I sold several. I sold 3 top hats behind me here.
Okay.
I sold 1 pillow buddy, but it was big fans because big stuff was coming. I signed a couple NWO things that Hogan and everybody else had signed, and I was like the last name. Really, really like big stuff. Which was I could tell was some hardcore fans and some hardcore action figures that hadn't been signed. The bobblehead one that only a few had, and it was just a really
WCW bobblehead.
Yeah. And,
wow.
I
remember that.
I don't think it was an actual bobblehead for us,
okay.
But it was a thing where our heads are big, and
isn't the base of yours like your top hat or something like that, right?
Yes, the base of mine is the top hat. The base of Aliva Rasa. What's that guy's name?
Eddie?
No, but our guy, our Conan.
Oh, Conan.
He's on like a radio thing. What do you call it?
A boombox.
A boombox. He's on a boombox, but
okay.
I don't think they're actual bobbleheads, but they kind of look like it.
Yeah.
But those are actually.
I remember those.
Those are actually one of my favorite toys.
Really?
They look great, and they were just really cool.
WCW had a lot of great toys, though. You had, and you always had good ones because you always came with the top hat. You always had the airbrush tights,
Yeah. The best one ever was one that was called Walkin' Talkin'. It was like if you went to a store today, which is 30 years later, you went to a store today and bought like a cool Spider-Man or Aquaman. They're going to be taller, and they're all going to be their colors and their boots are going to be much more cooler, and they're all going to be real muscular, and they just look really good. Right. This was like that kind of action figure. Like it was like a 10-inch tall action figure, and the body. I mean, I did actually look like that then, and so, but the earrings, the necklace, the tattoo was perfect. The tights and the boots were perfect. It's the best toy they ever had on Marcus Buff Bagwell. It was incredible. My voice was in the action figure, and they only had 8. And to be in
they talk to each other, right?
And they talked to each other. Underneath your pecs was open with these readers that read the other action figure, and they would talk. Like the only one I saw me talk to was Nash. And if I pinned Nash, it would say 1, 2, 3, way to go, Buff. And if Nash pinned me, it knew it. It was the craziest.
Wow.
And this is
ahead of its time.
This is 27 plus years ago, brother. It was so far, and my voice is what was coming out of it. I had to do all the oh, ow, oh, come on, brother, get this, take that. I had to do all those voices, and the mouth moved. It was unbelievable.
Let me get the visual on that. I think I have that.
What? Where did you get that?
Get back in here.
Where did you get that?
Goodwill.
Did I sign it?
Not yet.
I can't see. It was kind of glaring. That's it, brother. Look, I mean, even where it says buff on the waist was perfect, like my tights were. The tights are perfect. The boots are perfect. It's the best action figure I've ever seen of me ever by far.
No, it's unique too. You know, WWF wasn't doing stuff like this. They
No.
had pretty much the same thing, you know.
Wow, that's incredible. That's a good one.
Actually, so when you were up here in Waterbury, they were the guys that brought you up here for that signing were talking about that. I found it like 2 weeks later.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good one, man. That's the best one ever.
So when you find your way up here, I'll have you sign it.
Absolutely. We
All
will.
right, let's dive into some questions here.
Let's do it.
So let's find some good ones. So, and for everybody in here, I'm going to try to pick ones that we haven't asked in the past. But let's start off with, we got a super chat here that came in at 314. Let's go with that one first. We'll always prioritize the $10 super chat here. Please wish my brother a happy birthday for the Four Horsemen parody. Did Curt Hennig help you, and what was his response to it? I know Arn was highly offended.
Curt I never even spoke to Curt about it, but you know, my character as Curt didn't really do anything ugly. It was, I mean, how can you dog out Curt Hennig anyway? There's no way to. So he was Mr. Perfect. So yeah, but
you don't want to be on his bad side either, right? He was tough, right?
Not. I remember, you know, like I said, all them boys were super tough, and you know, Curt knew I was pretty tough, and so before we had to shoot this I wrestled him for like a career versus career match at his inn, and they put me over Curt Hennig, which was crazy, but I'll never forget that. South Padre Island on Monday Night Nitro, and I went over, and before we shot the match, we did a little pre-tape, and man, when they said action, he open hand slapped me with a Bagwell slap that I've never been hit with a Bagwell slap. Well, I have by my mother, but it's been a long time. And bro, when it was over, I said, brother, what's up with that? He goes, I knew if I did that, I would get you in the mood. And you don't know if it's a rib. I mean, them boys are so quick. But regardless, it did work. I initially snapped right back and slapped him right back. And it was a really good pre-tape that we did. But Curt Hennig was super professional. But yeah, you know, that was, I think, one of the best things we ever did. I think he was one of X-Pac's best things he's ever done as the Ric Flair parody.
He was brutal as Ric Flair.
It was really phenomenal. I mean, he's very good at what he does, but he really nailed that. It was great, and it was tremendous. And then, you know, Nash, of course, is always perfect. So it was a really good thing. But I think Arn took it the worst. And but I love all those guys. You know, it was just we were just doing that kind of stuff, and it was working. And so NWO did that kind of stuff, and ain't like we thought of it. You know, we did what we were told to do.
Right. Well, it's a ratings war at the end of the day. I mean, that's how you win the ratings, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So,
but happy birthday too to his brother. What was his name?
Did we get a name for his brother? We did not get a name.
I didn't think so.
No.
Happy birthday, brother.
There you go. That's always safe. All right. So from Ryan Rumbles, 434, $10 super chat. Thank you so much. What were the beginnings like with you and Scotty Riggs? And how did you find a perfect balance as a tag team?
It's a good question. In the beginning, believe it or not, I had done we had done an MTV video for a group named Aha. We briefly spoke about that once before, and from that video, and I had forgotten this, and Scotty told me, but Jimmy Hart saw the guy that shot the video was editing it at WCW while he was on break, and Jimmy Hart was a big fan for the younger guys, and always was in Marcus Alexander Bagwell's corner. Jimmy Hart always was. And because a lot of times the young guys get overlooked and they don't care about the younger guys, but Jimmy did. And so he saw this video and he's like, who's that kid with Bagwell? And so they found out he was a wrestler and he was in Memphis. So they brought him in, and as the American Males. And I was always involved with the names of our tag teams, but I wasn't nowhere a part of that. Somewhere they thought of all of that. And all I remember is they wanted me to shave my goatee. And I told Terry Taylor, I said, dude, no, man. I said, it's cool. Back then, heels had beard and goatees and earrings. That was a heel. And then I said, Terry, that's changing, man. I said, I'm telling you, it's cool for him. He goes, no, shave it. So I shave it. The next day, Terry calls me and says, did you shave your goatee yet? And I go, yes. And he goes, how fast can you grow it back? And I said, I don't know. So Orlando, the TV tapings were coming up. So I called Riggs, and I was really good about putting outfits together. Me and Scorpio's outfits, he had nothing to do. This isn't a knock at Scorpio, but I took care of our outfits. He allowed me to. So I created the design, everything. I just had him send me a size, and I did it. But same thing with Stars and Stripes, same thing with Scotty Riggs. And I said, look, they gave us no time to come up with outfits. So I said, go buy a pair of white cowboy boots, bring me a pair of jeans that fit you, and that's all you got to do. So he brought me a pair of jeans, and I gave him the white sleeveless shirt I had, this cool shirt. I had a black one. I wore my black boots. All he had to invest was a pair of white cowboy boots. And that was the original American Male outfit. We ran sequins down the side and once we got to Disney, and we ran American Males on the back. And that was the very first American Male outfit and one of our best.
Absolutely. That's the most memorable one for sure.
Yeah, it is. But we were instantly, chemistry is huge with pro wrestling. And we had chemistry on, when you go to tag a guy, which hand is on top or bottom, and you get that cluster. We just we never had any of that. A lot to do because I'd gotten pretty good with Scorpio on the tag stuff, but just you got to get together on things. But we just had a great chemistry, and he really was a fantastic wrestler. He was just very good at what he did, and we made a really good team, American Males.
For sure. We just put out the interview that you guys did back in, I don't know when we filmed that, a few months ago though, so everybody can check that out for sure.
All right,
Riggs and Mark Bagwell. But I found that video that you were talking about. So this is it, right? Let's see. So I don't think I can play the audio of it, but this should be the let's see. Featuring the American Males from WCW. Here we go.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
That's it. Yeah. So that's the video that Jimmy Hart saw, and he's like, and and that was me and Scotty's first time meeting. And
so you'd never wrestled at this point?
Never. He was in Memphis wrestling for Jerry Lawler as Scott Studd. And I was Marcus Alexander Bagwell in WCW, and he was, he was broke, just barely paying the bills, and in Memphis, and they called him up, and they didn't give him a crazy deal or anything. It was a good one, and he got paid for a long time like that. But finally, we found out when he was getting paid. We're like, Scotty, and so he went in and got a really good payday, and I had a great career at WCW.
Excellent. Now, would they lock you in with, like, would they try to give you a low ball sort of contract to lock you in? Because they have to figure that, you know, like you said, you may not be paying the bills easily at that stage.
Yeah.
Try to keep you under, you know, for the first 2 years, you're going to make almost nothing or something like that.
You know, for me, you know, I think just luck, God, whatever you want to put it on, you're in your corner. But
sure,
somehow a rumor got out that the WWF wanted me, and I don't know who, why, when, or where, but they were like, so my first contract was 100, and you know, a lot of guys I talk to them now, they're like, oh my God, I signed a $30,000 contract, and with incentives, and so it wasn't like they were throwing that money out there, but you needed to make $100,000 a year to do anything with pro wrestling, because of the, you know, hotels and the road and the eating and the food, and none of that's covered except the airplane ride. And so you know, even rent a cars, it comes out of our pocket. So it was you know, $100,000 was pretty the bottom of what needed to be paid to us. And but yeah, so it was but again, $100,000. And me and Stacy have this argument to this day. $100,000 is a lot of money right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, whoever says it's not, I will argue all day long with you, my friend. $100,000 a year, you're paying your bills today. I promise you, it's a good. So back then it was really, really good, you know. So yeah, so it was a lot of money, man. But yeah, they tried to get you to a 2 or 3 year deal, you know, but then again, you know, you're wow, I did that 150. I think I signed a 2-year deal. That's $300,000 you're guaranteed for 2 years. Twist my arm. Where's a Sprayberry 1.8 grade point average going to get that?
Yeah. And plus you're pretty young at that stage as well. I mean,
absolutely.
It's essentially your first real job, right?
It was my first real job.
So that's pretty damn good money.
Pretty good.
Sure.
Pretty good.
So we got RC from NYC here. What's up, Buck? What's up, everyone? Hope all is well and safe and blessed. Love it.
Thank you so much, brother.
All right. Let's see. We miss any of the supers? We got Craig here. Craig, thank you for this $10. But ask us a question. Give us a comment.
Oh man, thank you, Craig.
Appreciate you though.
Yeah, come back with a question, brother.
All right. So let's dive into the other questions here. Do you happen to know who was supposed to be the driver of the white Hummer? Why did WCW spend so much time and money on storylines like this, only to drop them without a conclusion?
I don't remember the white Hummer. Do you?
I don't. Something.
You know, me and Steiner did the Hummer for spring break on the cross country thing. It was really good stuff. They did a lot of good stuff with that. I don't remember a white Hummer, but WCW was huge on, you know, doing the storyline and not following through with it. And, you know, and that was part of our demise. You know, it's just hard to do. You throw something out there, man, and you hope it sticks. And nine times out of 10, it don't stick. And you try to, you know, go from there. But it's like how I explained WCW. It was like, instead of getting everybody, all your talent moving toward the moon, it was like they only moved half the talent toward the moon, and they never gave the other guys a chance to keep coming. And you had to kind of push everybody, you know, to keep everything rolling. And that's just not how it was. And I can only imagine trying to keep up with 80 guys. You know, I mean, it's crazy, really. I mean, they even came to us and were like, "Look, if y'all get beat, you know, 3 times in a row, speak up. You know, you won't get any heat for it. So if you got beat twice and you were getting beat a 3rd time, you know, you raised your hand, like, hey, man, what's going on?"
They're not keeping tabs. Then they're asking the talent to keep tabs on their own win record.
Just in case, you know, just, hey, sometimes we forget, we don't know, we're over here writing all the stuff. Let us, you know, please speak up, you know. So, you know, and that was always kind of the that was what Sting and Lex always told me was the golden rule anyway, is, you know, on 2 times in a row getting beat, that would be heat speaking up. But if a third one in a row was set up for you to lose, then you would say, hey guys, what's going on? Are we cool? Is everything okay? You know, what have I done wrong? Or you know, whatever.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
And from Kay Wallace, his brother's name is Derek. So we're wishing Derek a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Derek, brother. Happy birthday.
And from Walker 1984, can we take a moment to talk about Lex Luger and the videos DDP posted recently? After the last one, I believe Lex will be able to walk in some capacity again. Thank God for DDP.
Absolutely. Dallas is incredible. Everything he touches turns to gold. He's so positive, and he's so he's just going to make it work no matter what. I can't imagine a better place for Lex Luger to be than with DDP, because you're going to at least find out what we can get out of this, you know. And they're already getting leaps and bounds, but you know, Lex is 11 years older than me, so that means he's
66,
67. You know, that's no baby. And
right,
with his problems and stuff, looks like they're doing fantastic, and I love that. I wish him the best. I give anything. You know, Lex Luger to me will always be the total package. All the respect goes so much to him, and so does it to everybody, all the boys. So Dallas loves what he's doing with Lex, and I just hope him the best.
Absolutely. From Jack Powell, hey Marcus, growing up, did you have any idols or role models in the wrestling business? So this is prior to getting into the business yourself.
Right. I hate to say this, but I really didn't. I remember telling Missy Hyatt what I hear from people that I hate to hear. That's exactly what I said to Missy. Missy goes, I'm Missy Hyatt. I go, who is that? She goes, I work for World Championship Wrestling. I said, wrestling? I go, you mean on TV? Yeah. Really? Wow. Where do you, I mean, like you get paid to do that? I mean, I didn't really know. I mean, I never had met a rich and famous wrestler. I didn't really put 2 and 2 together. Never have. We watched it as children. My brothers, you know, the apple don't fall far from the tree. My father, you know, we watched wrestling, but we didn't really like not miss it. You know, it was like every Saturday or Sunday we'd watch it, and you know, we knew Gordon Soley, and we knew Dusty Rhodes, and we knew Ric Flair, and we knew the Road Warriors, Lex Luger. But I mean, the only thing I remember ever being done at our house at home was my brother Steve dressed up like Dusty Rhodes one time. And, you know, and we all laughed, and he was talking like Dusty and funky like a monkey and all that. And I remember being a kid watching and it being funny. But you're talking about, you know, 10 or 11 years old. And then I don't think hearing the word pro wrestling again until I'm 19 and Missy Hyatt sees me at a swimming pool. You know, so I mean, I knew Hulk Hogan, of course, but sure, to be a pro wrestler was never even in the mix of my life.
It's crazy. And Dusty Rhodes, who your brother's dressed up as, would be the one to hire you. What, 10 years later? It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it really is. But so the only person I said no idols, but I respected and remember loving Lex Luger because of what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a big muscled up guy. And when I saw Lex on TV, he was the first wrestler I saw muscular. And I loved it. I was like, man, I like that guy, you know.
For sure. Here's a quick question here from Terry Quick, who's always with us. Thank you, Terry, for always tuning in.
Hey, Terry.
Do you think wrestling needs more comedy like back in WCW days? It seems so violent these days with no comic relief.
It needs something. I think something in a lot of categories, but I've always thought that even when I was funny on TV, they didn't want me to be. I remember when I was with Steiner, I'd be laughing and they go, "Quit laughing, man." I go, I'm not, I don't want to quit laughing. I said, that's just what I do, And they were like, because here we are, you being a heel, but I would laugh, and it does make a difference, I mean, when Scott Steiner was choking somebody, it looked vicious, and when I'm choking somebody, I'm kind of laughing, so I understood what they were saying, but it just was my character to do it, so, but yeah, I do think there could be more comic, but again, you gotta have talent to have different things. And, there's talented guys that can do that. I mean, I love doing the parody stuff. I mean, there's a video out there, man, I'm telling you, of me doing a Scott Steiner imitation that is incredible. And it got zero on our radar because it was so much talent on our show. But for a Thursday Night Thunder, I did a parody of Scott Steiner that was one of the best things I've ever done. It was hilarious, but there's just so many egos and nowadays, and just then I did one of Ernest the Cat Miller with him being a black guy, me being a white guy. Probably couldn't even be done to this. Probably couldn't be done today.
Absolutely not.
I mean, is that right, Chase?
That's right.
So,
it would not be done today.
Right. There's no way it would be done. So I think there's just so many different things now that maybe take what we were doing takes it off the screen. There's no way to do it.
That's true. That's a good thing to bring up because, with comedy now, I mean, you offend somebody, right? I mean, with anything you offend somebody, but especially comedy, somebody's going to get offended, especially if it's not a comedy, club setting,
Well, most of the time it's kind of like, you're not really having fun till somebody's eye gets poked out. It's kind of like that. It's
right.
It's, you're not going to get anything really funny unless somebody's feathers get ruffled. And so we ruffled feathers. I mean, we came out, and of course, even the wheelchair skits we were doing, that we had to quit doing that. So we quit doing it, and then they make an action figure of me in a wheelchair. Now, how do you do that? But right. I don't think that could be done nowadays. I really don't.
Probably not. You're right. Probably couldn't be. Yeah. But I mean, like you said, we remember, the whole Arn Anderson being upset about Kevin Nash going out as him. So, when you do see somebody's feathers get ruffled, that's when everybody really swarms in and gets behind it. Scott Steiner didn't get mad at you, so we don't hear about that one as much. Mark McGuire didn't get mad at you, so you don't hear about that one as much.
Right. I can guarantee you that somewhere along Mark McGuire's way, he has seen that video and does not like Buff Bagwell.
I'm sure. And
I don't blame him. Man. I love you though, Mark McGuire. I love you, but huge fan of yours. Huge fan of steroids. So I'm in your corner, brother. Hey, go. Love it.
From Fiery Phoenix, hi Buff. I'm a big fan and wondered if you ever wrestled in Tennessee.
Let me think. 10 million times. A funny story.
Small place.
But yeah, funny story. Today, me and Stacy were talking about Murfreesboro, and I said that was my first WCW match under the WCW banner. Was in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Oh wow! Okay. So you've definitely been there, definitely wrestled.
I've been there, man. Tennessee, I've been there a bunch of times, man. Gosh, a bunch. Knoxville's, I mean, towns I didn't even know were there, Lexington, Tennessee's. I mean, just cities I didn't even know were there, but man, all over Tennessee.
Excellent. And Kay Wallace, thank you for the $1 super chat there. And we've got Virgil Dawkins. I'm 34. Too old to pursue a pro wrestling. Is 34 too old to pursue a pro wrestling career as a beginner? It's something I've always wanted to do, but I'm insecure about my age.
I would say absolutely not. Diamond Dallas Page was 36. I think nowadays it would be probably tougher because there's so many pro wrestlers now. I mean, there's a lot. And that was one of the reasons why I think that I got in as quick as I did. There wasn't a big, long line of good looking younger guys that could pro wrestle. And the list is much longer now of all of them, of all the lines, big, short, tall, fat, skinny. It's a bigger, longer line. And it make it a lot tougher now, but definitely, it's never too late for that. I mean, like I said, I remember Dallas was 36, and he was going up against me for Rookie of the Year, and I'm like, if this old man beats me, I'm going to die. So,
oh wow. All right, we got Anthony Peters. Hey, Buff, I met you, Sting, Rick, and Scott during WCW days at Waffle House in Ohio. What was your favorite venue to perform at?
That's a great question. And there's a bunch. Ironically, in Ohio, there's one of my best buildings. It was called the Dayton Arena. And we ran a pay-per-view out of there. It was kind of a rinky-dink building, but I loved it because we ran there a lot. We did some nitros there, and I'm pretty sure we did a pay-per-view there. It was called the Dayton Arena.
Was it sold out there?
I think it was.
Let's see.
It was just a great
sold
building.
Out 98.
Really?
Yep.
See, so I mean, it's a great building. It was old back then, so that was a lot of great history there. There was a building in South Carolina, and it was called the Shrine Mosque. And in Columbia, South Carolina, where I broke my neck, but we couldn't run the Civic Center because we didn't draw big enough. So we ran this little building called the Shrine Mosque. I'm talking about with Sting, Luger, all the same names, but nobody would come to the Civic Center to see us. But they would turn out, and it was a double level. It was like a balcony, and then a lower level, and it was just such a great atmosphere for pro wrestling. And every time we went there, it was a sellout, and just a really good show. But it was a wonderful feeling to know we outgrew that one to go to the Columbia Civic Center, so it was a lot of fun.
And right here we got Running with the Devils. Buff, you need to keep a closer eye on Chase. I've heard he's been washing down his protein shakes with pepperoni pizza in New Haven.
What's that coming from?
That's no. There's no story there. I'm not cheating on the diet. I haven't had pizza in weeks. So
when's your cheat day?
So Sunday. So last Sunday I went to the movies with the kids. I had a couple fistfuls of popcorn. That's about it though. I didn't do anything crazy. No.
So how do you?
Well, first weekend I was thinking let me take it easy, but I'm definitely craving some stuff now. So
yeah, you'll be people like, what are you gonna eat? And that kind of comes to you, man. Like it could be donuts, it could be cookies, it could be a burger, it could be pizza, spaghetti. When you really start getting those carbs out of your system, you start coming up with some really good creative stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got a list. So I think a burger's on there for sure. Which I get. I mean, that's got the protein, right? So that's not too bad.
Absolutely. Before I knew about the no carb thing, like a chicken finger was protein. A hamburger was protein. I didn't. When you first at 16 years old, 1986, I didn't know anything
about bread. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved. I ate bread. Oh, that's good. Bread's good. That's calories. It was all about calories at a very young age, and then it turned into the word carbs.
Right. And there's carbs in everything now. It's
everything.
Everything.
I remember at my leanest, and I got more curious. And so at my leanest, I remember I had a peppermint candy in my mouth, And I think that's got 5 grams. And I remember spitting it out. I was like, there's no, I was so ripped. I was like, I'm not messing this up. And then my guy goes, you've got to cheat, Mark. You've got to have your cheat day because your body, that's how your body works. And I mean, he had a hard time convincing me of that because I'm looking in the mirror and I'm seeing abs and veins. And so I listen to him and I do what he says. And when I get to the photo shoot, all my veins are gone. I go, what have you done to me, bro? He goes, just settle down, settle down. I said, dude, I can't believe it. I was dialed in. I was perfect. He goes, just stop, just stop. So I sit down and he starts feeding me these little bitty Reese's peanut butter cups and telling me to sip on this water. So I'm eating these peanut butter cups going, have you lost your mind? And I'm sipping on the water. And for whatever reason, the human body, what happens is when you carb deplete for that 6 days, and then you carb load, your body reacts, but it don't happen like this, but within a couple of hours, your body reacts and you get twice as lean and you're bigger because you filled up and you get real vascular. So I went from not a vein in my body to depressed that he had ruined my whole photo shoot to doing the Reese's peanut butter cups, sipping the water. And we did 1 set of each body part, like a set of curls, a set of triceps, a set of bench, a set of back. And I went, wow, let's do it. And it was incredible. It was like a magic trick. And the rest of my wrestling career consisted of that routine. It was carb deplete all week. And then you had to figure out what was best for Monday. And for me, it was around Saturday at 12 o'clock was when I started my cheat day for 24 hours. So you cheat, and then by tomorrow, you're smoothed out. But then by Monday morning, I could wake up Monday morning, and I'd either be like, all right, or it'd be like, gosh darn, I missed it. I woke up on a lot of Tuesday mornings going, dang it, where I was real lean.
You missed it, but yeah, a couple hours. Wow.
A bodybuilder will tell you it's hit or miss, man. You're just trying, and they hit or miss for 3 shows a year. I was hitting or miss for every week, so it was really, really tough to do it every week, but we did the best we could, and I looked good for a long time.
Absolutely, for sure. So I tried the rice cauliflower that you said. So now that's my go-to now. It works.
Is it great? Did you do the canned chicken with it?
I didn't do canned chicken yet, but yeah,
what you
rice cauliflower.
Yeah,
kind of protein over the top. So I did it with salmon. I did it with grilled chicken. Yeah, it works with everything.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yep, for sure. And I think I forget how many carbs it is. I mean, it's still got some carbs, but it's minimal. It's maybe 4 or something like that.
I remember broccoli, you go by a cup is how you judge it. So 1 cup of broccoli has like 6 grams. 1 cup of green beans has like 6 grams. Same with cauliflower. 1 cup of corn has 40.
Yeah.
1 cup of rice has 35 or 40. So it's just, but you judge it by the cup and then you can do the math from there. But that tells you there's a lot more carbs in it. And it's a fibrous carb, which means today you could eat a bucket of broccoli and not gain any fat. It's your body's going to use it. But you can have 2 bites of a baked potato too much and it's going to store somewhere.
Right. So when you do low carb, what do you think is low carb for a 24-hour period? Like how many carbs would still be low carb? Just because you're getting it from broccoli, you're getting it from different things.
I can tell you pretty close right here. So even with my shake, there's 4 grams and 50. So there's 4, 8, 12. There's 12 there for the day. I'm saying 100. 100 carbs a day, I'm guessing, would be the word 0 carb diet.
Okay. All right.
Because I don't think there's no way to really do a 0. I mean, there's a way, but it's Buff Bagwell didn't do it. Buff Bagwell did this diet. And if that worked for Buff Bagwell then I'm sure it'll work for Chase Brogan now. So I don't, that 100, but with that 100 along with cardio, just must be enough to still look, really lean and really in shape.
Yeah, it makes sense. So we've got Fiery Phoenix for the $2 super sticker. Okay.
Thank you so much,
Appreciate
Fiery
that.
Phoenix.
Appreciate it. All right, let's dive into some more questions. All right, guys. Ask some more questions. I'm trying to find a good one here.
Okay.
Another day with Buff and Chase. Good times. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
All right. Buff's all-time max bench press.
That is a great question and a good story. So we didn't have cell phones. Cell phones wasn't a thing at my peak of strength and body, which would have been late 90s. 96, 97, 98, 99 was the best Buff Bagwell ever looked. And that would have been me and Lex training, and we did the reverse pyramid workout. But, our heavy set that we never did less than 8. Anytime anybody does less reps than 8, you're just an egotistical maniac. There's no reason to do less than 8 reps. It's just best to do a bunch of 185s, a bunch of 225s, than to go out and try a 315 and tear a pec. I mean, there's no reason for it. There's no reason at all. Just the other day, I had a guy do it in the gym, and I couldn't resist. I had to walk up to him. So he's sitting there, 315, takes it off, and he gets it barely one time. He racks it. And I walk over, and they're congratulating him and all that. And I got to the side, and I go, "Why'd you do that?" And he goes, "I don't know." I said, "Really? Think about it for a minute." I go, "Why did you do it?" He goes, "I just wanted to see where I was at." I go, "Dude," I go, three things. I go, "You didn't video it." He goes, "Oh, dadgummit." I go, "You didn't even video it." I said, "And you just impressed a couple of people, your friend and me. You impressed 2 people, and the risk for reward on this, and you could have tore a pec and been out of the gym for 6 months." I said, "This isn't worth it, man." I said, you impressed 2 people, you got no video, and you could have been out 6 months. It's not worth it. I said, "Do what you want to do with this." I go, "But if you can't get 6 reps, you shouldn't do it. You should be 6 reps at the least." But one day, with all those rules that Lex taught me and that made sense, and don't do it and be safe and don't tear anything, but lift heavy and be smart and stretch, all the stuff that we did. One day, Lex wanted to see what we could do. I can't remember exactly how it got brought up, but at main event one day, and I think it was after it closed or something. There was nobody there, nobody. But about 3 or 4 guys, 3 or 4 friends. I can't even remember who was with me and Lex. But I remember, whatever reason, we came up with 405. We wanted to see how many times we could get 405. And man, on the bar, it had that like horseshoe thing. Like it wasn't a straight barbell. It was like a little curve to it with those 4 wheels and the collars. And it was like, wow, it was impressive looking, bro. It was impressive. No video camera because it wasn't on phones then. We had nobody was videoing it, but we tried it. And Lex did it 12 times and I did it 8. And that's the only claim to fame I've got as far as a bench press. Lex taught me in this time too, that who cares what you actually can bench? What does it look like you can bench? He goes, that's what matters. So for the rest of my life, I said, when somebody said, "Hey man, what do you bench?" I would say, "What's it look like?" And they would go, 500 pounds. I go, that's it. 500. So it's all that matters, man. It don't matter what you can actually do. It matters what you look like you can do.
Absolutely. From Classic Random Clips Man. Hey, Marcus, how are you, my friend? It's Brian Vaughn from the WSE Lounge.
Cool, man. Well, I like that. The WSE Lounge. That sounds like a VIP area.
Yeah. Yep. Exclusive.
Absolutely.
Mark Hewitt. What's up, brothers? What's going on, Mark?
Hey, Mark. What's up, brother?
And from Ricky Neal, can I get a shout out to my dad whose birthday passed?
Absolutely. Well, I wish I knew what Dad's name was, man. But happy birthday to Dad.
Are you ever going to be able to get Scott Steiner on? I don't know if we'll get Scott Steiner on. He's a little standoffish.
You know, Scotty don't like doing this kind of stuff at all, man. I mean, he's I think maybe one day we will, but he's just not a big fan of this, man. You know, he just don't really like to talk about the stuff that I do. And he's just, you know, it ain't like Scotty ain't got a lot going on, brother. I mean, my gosh, he's got kids doing all kind of great stuff with sports, and he's busy, brother. He's real busy. But I'm one of the biggest Scott Steiner fans ever. Always was. And, you know, it just, so many egos in this business when the boys started getting involved with us being together. I mean, to me, it was really powerful when we came out together during that time, because it was two of the best bodies in the business in the same segment. You know, it was powerful, but I knew that he had the best body. So I stayed in my lane, man. I bounced around the big man like I was supposed to. And it's still, the boys still kind of, you know, just kept messing with us on who looked the best and who's in shape. And I'm like, guys, look at these two. He's 270 doing this. I'm 230 doing this, you know. Right. But he was at his peak, man. He was incredible.
Here's a good one. What are your thoughts on the ring ability of Cold Scorpio?
You know, I don't think this gets talked about enough. You know, and it's, you know, if I talk about it, then we're bragging about ourselves. But really, when I look back, just the other night, I looked back at something where I know what it was. My pair of tights, a pair of Marcus Alexander Bagwell tights, are getting sold, and the clip they're selling the tights with, I hit the ropes and jumped off Scorpio's back off to the floor onto somebody, and nobody that was high flying, bro. Yeah. You know, the Hardy Boys hadn't done nothing like that. I don't think they were even here yet. So we were doing things that was unheard of for like high flying, you know. And that back then, you know, you barely even went out of the ring. I mean, for a while when Bill Watts came in over the top rope, you were disqualified. And they pulled the mats up and all that, you know. So it really, you know, that was like high flying stuff we did. And it don't get really the credit it deserves. But all of that stuff said was because of Cold Scorpio. He's the one, brother, not at $150 doing a 1.5, at 250 doing a 1.5 every single night. And that's what had me not do it. I was going to start doing his finish when he left our company, and I was doing it out in the ring, and Mike Graham goes, "You got to do that every night, Bagwell." And I climbed out of the ring and quit doing it. I was like, there's no way to do that every night. So a finish has got to be something you can do to everybody, which that's a good one you can do to everybody. And you got to be able to do it to everybody and every night. And that's something that was going to take more years off me for sure.
Absolutely. Well, we just saw Too Cold in, where were we, Ohio?
Yes.
Ohio, a couple months. And he got in there. Yeah, Waverly, Ohio. He got in there. He wrestled. He had a great match. It was a long match, too. Is he older or younger than you? He's older, isn't he?
He's older, but I would say by like that 5 or 6 mark. So he's right at, I say 60 is what I would think he's at.
Wow. And from N Chess, can somebody super chat buff to bury Disco Inferno? Thanks.
What now?
They want you to bury Disco. You always like Disco though. You've got along great with him, right?
man, we got along great. He's actually who named the Blockbuster. He named my finish. He's
Really?
who named it. Disco was a huge, and I think still is. When I hear podcasts and stuff, there was one or two podcasts he did that I called and was like, bro, are you kidding? But those guys are both, him and Conan, have a great podcast, and they talk very highly of me always. And I've always talked very highly of both of them. I think Disco Inferno, for me personally, he's one of the top 4 guys I wrestled that got with my chemistry. And that's something you don't know. I mean, everybody's chemistry is different, but for my chemistry, I can tell you that me and Disco's chemistry was top 5 of my whole 34 years of wrestling. He was really good at what he did, and he just was able to adapt to everybody, and he was one of the best wrestlers we had.
Now, you actually did a talk show with him. I want to say it was late 90s. I think he was just coming into the Wolfpack. And I just remember watching you guys had great chemistry, just talking to each other on a talk show. And I don't think you ever did. I mean, you wrestled each other and stuff like that, but I don't remember, you guys talking, with each other much on Nitro or stuff like that. So
no, we didn't really, but we wrestled a couple times for sure. But he, that was Jenny.
Yes, yes.
I want to say Jenny Craig, but that ain't it.
Jenny
Jones.
Okay.
Jenny Jones.
Let's see if we can find it here.
And the big joke was that he said he was the television storyline was that he said he was in NWO, but he wasn't, and he was trying to get in. It was a storyline they had, and during that Jenny Jones episode, I remember, we were saying, of course he's in, but the joke or the storyline was he was just kind of getting pushed around like a punk,
There it is.
There it is. Jenny Jones, right?
Yep.
And man, I'm in shape right here. I saw this the other day. I was dialed in right here, buddy. What year does it say this was?
February of 99.
You're kidding me. Do you know what I would have guessed? I would have guessed 96. That's 3 years.
Well, you got the Wolfpack NWO on the overalls, so yeah,
exactly.
It's gotta be, yeah.
I wasn't thinking of that, man. 99. I mean, think about this. This feels like the beginning when I'm looking at it. And this is post broken neck, brother.
Yep. Yeah, this is right after, right? Because you came back. When did you come back from the broken neck?
I may not have been back. So
okay.
10 months from April 98, 10 months.
Close.
What is that?
From April, so you got all of April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. You're coming back that month, February.
So I just wrestled for the first time from a broke neck, or I'm getting ready to wrestle for the first time.
It doesn't look like you've been sitting for 10 months.
I say, because I wasn't. Brother, at 3 months and 1 day, it was a full. I wish I'd give anything if we had cell phones back then. I can't believe I didn't take a picture of me before I started that journey, brother. I can't believe it. But it was a crazy journey that would have been tremendous if they would have showed it. I mean, I lost 50 pounds on that broke neck, brother. 50. Wow. And I came back and was big. I got like 265. And then I met my guy that dialed me in. His name was Mark Wallace. And I went from 265. I went to a very muscular, chubby with abs, 265 to a shredded 228. And this is right after this is it. That was my peak right there. I was in tip top shape right there.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you definitely got a disco beat there.
Yes.
And he's in his prime too.
Absolutely. I mean, he's an in shape guy,
Yeah. All right. So next question here. This is a good one too. Who was stronger, Lex or Scott Norton?
I need to clear the air with this right here. Lex Luger may be the strongest man in the world in a gym. Tires and hanging and all that, strongest man stuff. I'm not sure, but I would love to see him try something like that. But I'm telling you, when I say I've never seen anything like it, brother, I've never seen anything like it. It's like he's a machine.
Yeah.
I watched him when I first met him, I was not impressed at all. I saw him at his own gym. I'm with Sting. We went to the Buford Highway main event. He pulls up in a $100,000 Mercedes that I ended up buying from him. But he pulls up in this beautiful Mercedes I loved instantly. And he gets out of the car and he's in a singlet. These things called Hot Skins was the name brand. And I had every color and so did Lex. But it was a singlet. But I mean, like a singlet from ankles all the way up to tank tops. But it was a one piece. And it was red, white, and blue with the perfect shoe on, the perfect ball cap. He was perfect like everything else he does. And in that workout, I personally watched something I've never seen before. And the first thing I saw him do was 405 on free weight squats, and he did it 20 times. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And this was during the WWF days of his run up there as the USA thing. And they're drug testing and all over him. You could tell he was clean, man. He was thin. I mean, he was incredible, but he was thin. He looked clean is what he looked. He was clean and looked incredible, but he was light. He was light for what I would like Lex to look like. And he did that for 405 for 20 reps. And I mean, his butt touching his heels, not little squats. I mean, a full, perfectly formed squat. And then leg extensions was the stack. Leg curls was the stack. I don't mean swinging it and stuff. And I was in amazement. And finally Sting goes, "Oh yeah, we call him Herman Monster." And he does this Herman Monster laugh, like, whoa, 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 like the Herman Monster, like the monsters. But he has what Sting called Herman Monster strength. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. He is by far the strongest human being in a gym that I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen a lot of guys.
Wow. That's incredible. All right, we got one here from Femi's Little Dark Room. Guys, let's get serious for a minute. Marty Jannetty needs help. It looks like he won't make it to Christmas. Call DDP, do something. It's now or never for him.
Okay, so probably 6 months ago now, I got a call from somebody that was, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's a guy I did a podcast for. He's a French guy. God, I'll think of his name in a minute. But I did a French. The guy was really,
Amir?
Huh?
Is it Amir?
That's it.
Okay.
So really cool podcast I did with this guy.
Yeah.
And one day he calls up.
Victoire, I think. Victoire.
Yeah.
This is the name of this. Yeah.
And he said, "Hey man,"
stuff.
he said, "Yeah." He goes, "Marty's in bad shape, man." And I go, "Really?" So I just picked the phone up and called him. And his girl, I talked to his girl. And let me tell you, it turned into an S show real quick, an SHIT show real quick. I mean, real quick. It just, I couldn't even control it no more. It was gone so fast. But when I finally got him on the phone, and I said, "Look, brother," I said, "I'll come get you." I was going to go get him tomorrow, the next day in LaGrange. And I was going to drive him to Black Bear. I was going to call Dallas to help out, me and Dallas or whatever, to get some help involved and get Steve U to video and all that stuff. And we, like I said, on the phone with him, he was nowhere near ready. Nowhere near. I mean, he told me a story about a thing that happened to him at rehab. And Stacy whispered to me, she goes, "When's he talking about?" And I go, "When are you talking about, Marty?" He goes, 15 years ago. I go, "What?" I go, "Marty, you're using something that happened to you 15 years ago is not wanting to get clean, brother? Come on, man." But he is not ready. I asked him, "Look, let's make this simple." I go, "Tell me what you want me to say at your funeral." And he goes, "Oh, come on, man." I go, "No, brother, listen to me. I need something to say when you die. So will you please tell me what you want me to say about you, about me trying to help you and you refusing to get help? What do you want me to say at your funeral?" And he never told me. He told me he was going to quit drinking. And the last time I talked to him, he tried to tell me he quit drinking liquor or something. It was some half excuse, but a horrible shape. His ankles, what nobody knows about is his ankles are in horrible condition. And his ankles are going to kill him before anything, but he's just in a horrible place. He is definitely going to be the next one to die. And I truthfully don't know what to do. I'm remembering everything I've learned with, AA and getting sober is you've got to want to do it, brother. And he is not at his rock bottom. He's not even close to his rock bottom. I've talked to him several times on the phone, and he does not want to get clean. He is not going to get clean. And I called Dallas about it, and Dallas, you know how great Dallas has been toward everybody, but Dallas said he's not doing it no more. And I was like, "Hey, brother, I get you." So it's too big. It's too big for me at 2 years sobriety, 2.5 now, but it's way too big for me. I'm in this program in DUI court in Cobb County, and it's way too big for me. Marty's going to be a Jake. He's going to be a really hard sell on getting sober. It's going to take a Diamond Dallas Page to get Marty Jannetty sober, and I don't know of another Diamond Dallas Page.
There's only one.
There's only one, brother.
That's tough, man. I mean, you do have to want to change yourself. That has to be within you, but it's tough. I mean, rock bottom for some people is the funeral home.
Exactly.
I hope that's not the outcome.
I hope and pray it's not the case, but if it's going even half the way that I've seen and heard, he will be the next.
Devastating.
And I hate that. I hate it because he's a great guy, super guy, but he just verbally, mentally, he's just not there, man. He's just nowhere near putting a drink down. Nowhere near.
It's tough. That's a tough one.
It is tough.
Oh, so this is a good one. I'm glad he asked this. So running with the Devils again. Buff, how many calories do you think one can get away with on a cheat day if you eat pretty clean for the other 6 days?
It's a great question. And it's one that I don't know because it was never Scott Steiner at 265 and shredded and Buff Bagwell at 228 and shredded. We never said the word calorie. Caloric intake was not a thing. A protein intake was a thing. The 6 days not eating carbs and 1 day carb loading was the thing. Calorie was not talked about. So I don't know that answer. So I can tell you that I always thought of, even when I eat to this day, when I eat lunch, I think about, making sure I get all of my protein in. I don't really think I need to get more calories. As long as I think if you did the math of getting your 50 grams of protein in and you get your calories of that and how many calories you get out of your broccoli, and you did that math at the end of the day, I think that would be around the caloric intake that you would need. But I really don't know why calories are talked about, because they don't matter. It don't matter. It's kind of like the bench press thing. It's kind of like saying, hey, what do you bench? Well, what's it look like I can bench? Who cares how many calories you eat? What matters is that you get in 1.1 grams of protein per pound of body weight every day of your life for the rest of your life. That's number one. And that one thing is hard to do. It's real hard to do. I've been doing it for 34 years. It's hard. Then you got to 6 days a week not have any carbs, any complex carbs, which is bread, rice, pasta, pancakes, everything good, no carbs. That's hard. So on that cheat day, there's no rules. When you go 6 days and you eat, and you'll be surprised, on that cheat day, you ain't going to do what you think. You're going to have about 2 cheat meals if you're starving, because you go to eat cheat, one good one, and you ain't going to be hungry for a while. It's hard to get your protein in on a cheat day. I usually do anyway, because I do a cheat meal and a shake, cheat meal, shake, and I try for a third cheat meal, and I usually don't get it. But I wouldn't, again, I don't worry about calories. I do still worry about keeping my protein up on my cheat day. Like a pizza, there's no protein in pizza, none. So that's a good cheat meal, but I still like to make sure I get some protein in. So that's why I'll throw a shake in there anyway. It kind of gets my stomach going in the morning anyway. But I just don't think calories is a big deal. I think the same old thing everybody hears, but doing it, which is your protein high, your carbs low, and your fat low, and doing it 6 days a week, but at extremely low carb rate, and then carb loading. And that carb loading thing ain't going to work if you don't eat. It's 75 carbs or less. It's not going to work if you do much more than that, because your body isn't going to shock your body. It isn't going to shock it like it needs to be, and it's not going to work the way you need it to. But no calories. Calories are no big deal.
But I think I'll say this for him. I think he wants to know if he can eat like 6 pizzas on a Sunday for his cheat day.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But here's the thing: you're not going
to eat the protein. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if you need it. I always made sure I had a couple of shakes, but the answer is you can eat as much as you want, but I think you're going to find out that you can't. You'll think you can, and then when those 2 pizzas are gone after cheat meal number 1, you're like, wow, it's 4 hours before you're hungry.
Yeah. I noticed that just when I was in Atlanta with you last week, because I was doing more shakes because I'm on the go. The shakes fill you up, I think, more than a meal does. So you don't want. Yeah. So I felt like I had to keep pushing it. Now I'm breaking it up more with meals. So I'm getting through it. But when it's shake, it's tough. It's tough.
Did you get your starting weight?
Yeah, 230.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so now I'm like 227, but it's not the same every day. It's bouncing a little bit. So. Sure. So from Eric Dolan here, $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Buff, do you have any great stories about working with Curt Hennig? So you kind of started with that one tonight, but
yeah, Curt was a character, man. I mean, he was so much fun. I got along with Curt real well. Curt had a thing that a lot of the boys knew about, and it was called Rainbow Stew. If you wanted to party with Curt, he would give you pills, but you had to take it the way he wanted you to. And he did this thing called Rainbow Stew, and it was like different color pills. And you had to take them with him. You had to take them and gargle a shot of Jack Daniels. And it was, I did it once, and I would never, ever, ever do it again. It was so hard. I choked and gagged, And I mean, I went around that bar choking and gagging for an hour. So it was the craziest thing I've ever done. I didn't think it'd be that hard. It was very hard. But that was one of the Curt Hennig things he always did to all the boys was, you know, you had to walk around Curt with your hand over your bottle because he'd bomb you. You know, it was called H-bomb. There were these pills called halcyons that would knock you down. But if you put them in a beer, it fizzed over. So you actually walked around with your beer like this if you're around Curt Hennig because you never knew when he was going to H-bomb you.
Wow. So now when he would have you take this mixture of pills, was he doing it with you or he's just making this own concoction for you to take by yourself?
He did it with you at the same time.
So you're taking the same stuff that Curt.
Yes. And he
would go, I guess you find some peace in that, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I went about to do it without him. So he does it first. He shows you first. Okay. And I'm like, wow. And he does the, and I'm like, oh my God. So my turn. Oh boy, here we go. And buddy, at the first second, I'm like, oh my, oh. And I go ahead and swallow it. And then it's just a choking, gagging, wanting to puke. But I don't want to waste the pills. He's like, don't you waste those. Don't you waste them. And I'm like, trying not to puke. And oh my God, but it was
what's the outcome of that? Or do you not remember?
I don't remember. It
okay.
was.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember it started at Cowboys in Kennesaw, and I don't remember.
Okay. That's rough.
They told me I had fun.
But there you go. And they wouldn't lie to you.
When you really look back at it, I mean, really, I don't even get it. We don't remember hardly anything. We just felt like we were having fun. And there was a time period that was fun, but there was a big part where there wasn't any fun. It just was a blackout pretty quick, you know?
Yeah. Well, when you develop an addiction where now you have to have these drugs, you have to have these drugs, it's like, yeah, it's kind of like the shake. You have to do it, right? You're forcing it.
And it's embarrassing for me to go back and really think about when that day was because it was early. It was early when I had crossed the invisible line, they call it. And I had to have it not to hurt now, not to go through some kind of withdrawal, either opiate or alcohol. You know, I remember just feeling like didn't know what it was. And Lex knew what it was. And he was like, if you take a couple of pills, that'll go away. And I was like, brother, it's 12 o'clock. And he's like, I'm just telling you. So I took a couple, drank a beer, and it went away. And I went, oh boy. But I didn't quite know what I'd done yet, but it was not too long before I realized, oh wow, this is going to keep coming back.
Yeah. Now you're on that ride.
Now you're on it, brother.
So a Linus adventure here. We need a Sons of Anarchy spinoff with Buff as Prez. All right.
I love it.
You actually worked with the president there, Ron Perlman.
Charmed.
What was it? Charmed. That's right. Did you watch Sons of Anarchy? That's his next question.
I did not. I'm a big biker, and I know that was a big show, but for whatever reason, I missed that one. I never got a chance to check that one out.
We should check it out. It's good. It's a good show.
I heard it
for a lot of seasons. Yeah, definitely check it out. All right, let's get back to the regular chat here. Let's find some more questions here. We'll do a couple more tonight.
What is this? Is Buff a fan?
Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, that's it there?
Yeah, that's it, yeah. And I see this one, cauliflower dipped in Thousand Island dressing. Sounds interesting.
Let me tell you something I just learned, Chase. Part of my thing, as I'm teaching you about all this, is to read the back of everything, right?
That's what I'm doing now. It's opening up a whole new world for me.
Have you been shocked yet?
So there was this Peace Tea. Have you ever heard of Peace Tea?
No.
It's like it's basically like those Arizona iced teas.
Oh my God, it's gonna be loaded in sugar.
It's insane. So, but this one's like pitches like the healthier option, which I'm finding with like power bars and protein bars that, I mean, the stats on there look very similar to that of like a Snickers bar. I mean, it's they're not far off. this was like, I want to say it was like 56 carbs or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. So, and meanwhile, I thought, I knew it was too good to be true because it tastes like you're ripping a peach open and drinking it.
Of
It's
course.
phenomenal. But yeah, this was before I started the diet, but it was something ridiculous like that.
So the other day, I put ranch dressing on everything, and I've looked on the back of it a couple of times. We got those big giant ranch, and there's 1 carb per 2 tablespoons. And I've read it 2 or 3 times, and 1,000 times in my head, I thought, that's got to be wrong. So the other day, me and Stacey were talking about it. So I go in the kitchen and I open it up and look at it again. 2 tablespoons, 1 carb. But listen to this. It has 12 grams of fat per 2 tablespoons. Brother, let me tell you how little of amount 2 tablespoons of salad dressing is. People put a half a gallon of salad dressing on their salad. Yeah. So it's a bunch more than 2 tablespoons. And 2 tablespoons is 12 grams of fat. I couldn't believe it. I was eating 50 grams of fat per one of my chicken specials when I'm eating plain canned chicken with plain cauliflower rice and drowning 100 grams of fat over it. So to answer your question
off with the burger.
Salad, this is your question about Thousand Island dressing. Go, and it's hard to find. Costco don't have it. Fat-free salad dressing, and it tastes exactly the same, and it's fat-free.
That's another thing you got to pay attention to. Wow.
Another thing you got to read, brother. So read at the back of everything, and don't be fooled on servings. That'll get you sometimes. So you think, there's only 5 grams of.
Yeah, there's 12 in the container.
Yeah. So be careful with that.
For sure. Here's a good one from Walker 1984. Why are finishers not protected in today's era? Wrestlers kick out of everything, sometimes multiple times. AEW, TNA, WWE are guilty of this.
This battle's been going on for years. I remember early in my career is when this first started. This started with cruiserweight wrestling, when nobody took somebody's finish because it was a bunch of big guys. Nobody took it. Dallas, like Jake the Snake, had a DDT. So that was the first thing I remember seeing somebody complain about. It was Jake, for a good reason, people giving DDTs and kicking out. And that buries, his move. So this is, and what I just said, that's 30 plus years old. So over the last 30 years, cruiserweights got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and X divisions and cruiserweights and all that stuff they called it. These things, they would use everybody's finish and kick out and then roll the guy up and win. And it's the biggest argument we have in pro wrestling. But again, it's been one that's fell on deaf ears. It just is what it is. But no, the question is, no, there's no way to protect it. To me, I just wrote it off as, I'm glad to see it. People use it. It means a lot to me for people to see it. But it's just part of the new generation of wrestling. It's just, everybody's finishers get used, and it's just part of the deal.
Yeah, it's one of those frustrating things about today's product, I think, is the moves and stuff. But speaking of, I'm seeing TNA and WWE together. Did you see that they finally have converged the TNA with NXT now?
No, I haven't.
So the Hardy Boys just went on NXT on Tuesday night this week.
Really?
So they had a match over there. It's interesting to see them back, but they're technically under the WWE banner, but they're still TNA. It's kind of a weird collaboration, but it's cool to see.
Yeah, it is cool to see. I think it's great, man. Those guys are super over. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. We saw it firsthand in Indianapolis. I've never seen anything like it. they're confused about it. I mean, their line just, I think they could go back to Indianapolis next week, and I think the same thing would happen again. I really do.
Sure.
I've never seen anything like it in my life.
I mean, they're probably the biggest draw on the indie. I mean, and that's the cool thing too. They're TNA. That's where their contract is. They're getting to wrestle on WWE, but because they're technically TNA, they can still do the indies. They can still do whatever they want to do. It's that might be the way to go right now.
I think it is the way to go. I mean, they're probably, as much as they do with these signings, they'd be probably crazy to sign anything with WWE. But there'll probably come a time where they can or will. But right now, it looks like they're doing just fine.
Absolutely. I mean, they get to work when they want to work. They get to go where they want to go. I mean, there's
a lot of
power in that.
There is a lot of power in that, and I can promise you, whatever the WWE pays them, whatever the number is, they're going to go to work.
Yeah,
a lot more than they do now. So they're allowed to pick where they want to work, I think, and it looks great, and they look great, and I'm super, super proud and happy for them. But it looks like the way they're going with being able to stay where they need to get a payday with the TV and also be able to do what they want to do, I think it's perfect for them.
For sure. I mean, they're still using the TV time to further their reach, and they can make the money themselves without that middleman, taking the cut or whatever. So it's incredible. Maybe that helps them negotiate, if they do want to do that final Mania match someday. All that's going to help. It's going to work in their favor with negotiations. So
absolutely.
All right, let's do one more. And I saw one I wanted to highlight here, but where did it go now? There was one that said, would you like to give Jim Ross a blockbuster next time you see him? I thought that was pretty funny.
That is funny. That would, I guarantee we could draw a good rating on a video of that.
Yeah, for sure. You certainly could. Here, we'll wrap up on this one. I think this is a great question. Marcus Bagwell's Mount Rushmore for wrestling.
Wow.
So that's wrestling. That's not wrestling. So is that going to be Southern wrestlers? How are we going to take that one?
I mean, I'm taking it as wrestling, but what do you think? Is there such thing as wrestling out there that makes
wrestling to me is? I mean, that's WCW. That's Ted Turner.
Well, me too. But I mean, and again, it's just
give us your Mount Rushmore of just wrestling in general.
That's a tough one. I mean, to me, for there not to be a Hulk Hogan on everybody's Mount Rushmore, I think there's just something wrong. I think it's got to be. But from there, you've got, that Mount Rushmore is a tough one, man. But
if it was 5, it would be so much easier. But 4 is tough, man.
I don't know, man. It's tough anyway, right? But I think Hogan, Flair.
Yes, 100%.
For me, it's The Rock and Sting.
Okay, that's good. That's a good one.
That's my Mount Rushmore.
Very good.
And not in that order. The Rock would be 4th, but it would be that order, brother. It would be Hogan, Flair, Sting, and The Rock. But that's Mount Rushmore, brother.
That's good. That's a good one. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think for sure. I mean, Hogan, whether you love him or you hate him, I get the controversy there, but you got to look at what he did for the business. And I don't think you have WWE where it is today without Hulk Hogan.
You do not.
No. So you got to have him in there. And I think Ric Flair did exactly what Hogan did, but on a smaller platform.
Yes.
So that makes perfect sense.
Yes.
This is a good one, too. I was thinking Andre the Giant, too, but.
Well, and me too. But again, technically it should be Andre and Hulk on every Mount Rushmore, because those two guys in the famous slam is what made pro wrestling what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's tough. That's why 4 is so tough. But I think Steve Austin has a place on there too for the his run in WWF at the time. I think
it was incredible. It was incredible.
You got agreement with you on Sting for sure here. So, all right, guys. Well, we're not going to keep you any longer. We'll be back in, what are we going to do, 2 weeks? That works for
Sure,
you,
2
Mark?
weeks. Absolutely.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Thanks, guys, for joining us tonight. This was a blast. Got some great questions coming in tonight. So we will see you guys in 2 weeks from tonight. Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys. See you later.